You're stuck at home in quarantine. 5 o'clock. Why not have a drink with me?
Hey everybody, the weekend is almost here. It is Thursday night. Hope everybody had a good day, good week, and hope that you are doing well. And if you have tomorrow off, like Megan, I believe you do. I was talking with Colleen earlier today, and she got an email from her boss that she does, in fact, her company is going to be celebrating Juneteenth tomorrow. Then happy weekend, long weekend for you. I finally finished up the last big deliverable that I had going on this week for work. So that is behind me. I think I said yesterday that I was 5/6 done. Basically, I was working on these like 6 discrete parts, and I had 5 of them done and 1 left. The last 6 definitely took longer proportionally than just than a sixth of the time, but I persevered and got it done today, so feeling good about that and feeling good going into the evening and into the weekend. I'm also excited for dinner tonight. We're making some sausage, peppers, and onions sandwiches. Really excited about that. I found a really good recipe for doing it all on the grill a few years ago, and we've made it a bunch of times. And it's nice because we don't have to heat anything up in the kitchen because it got hot today. You know, yesterday it broke 80 up here, but it was still like 82, but today it's like high 80s, really hot. Once you like leave the AC, it immediately hits you. And I was hoping to actually get out and about a little bit more than I was able to today. I was hoping that my work stuff wasn't going to consume as much time as it did, and I'd be able to run a few errands and do a couple of things around the house. But that didn't work out. But there's nothing that I can't do tomorrow. So I do want to mow the lawn soon. We have some of Helen's family coming over this weekend, which I'm excited about for an early Father's Day celebration, I believe tomorrow night. So I want to mow the lawn, so I'm going to try to get out there early tomorrow before it gets too hot in order to get that taken care of. But otherwise, here we are, getting ready for the weekend. And, over the past 8 days, I've been counting down my top 10 cocktails. And it was really interesting, process going through, forcing myself to really make some decisions and take a stand on what my all-time favorites are. And, the top 3, I think, depending on the week or the month, are probably were the toughest to order. And of course, the number 1, being number 1, holds a special place. So 1, 2, and 3 were challenging. Ben in the chat yesterday called a scandal with the Old Fashioned being number 3 and not being higher, and I hear that because the Old Fashioned is such a good classic, amazing, the perfect cocktail, as I say, the cocktail that will change your life. But here we are, and here we're doing number 2, and so Ryan Kelly's number 2 cocktail on my top 10 list, Ryan Kelly's top 10 cocktails of all time. Number 2 is the Oaxaca Old Fashioned. So, already we have, it's a play on the original Old Fashioned, which is very nice. This is a classic recipe from Death & Company by way of their bartender, legendary craft cocktail bartender Phil Ward, who came up with it in 2007, and since then it is the most served drink at Death & Company, this really amazing and important bar in the cocktail culture and cocktail renaissance of the last 15 years in New York City. And it's a great drink for a few reasons. I think, for one thing, it is simple. It sort of knows where it comes from, right? It comes from an Old Fashioned. It's just like a slight play on the Old Fashioned, but it's able to provide an alternate version and in itself become a unique drink by knowing its ingredients really well. At the time when this drink was invented in 2007, mezcal was not a really, well understood spirit in terms of how it plays in cocktails. And this was really a breakthrough drink in how we can use mezcal in a way that brings that really delicious character and smokiness without overpowering the rest of the ingredients. And the way Phil Ward did that was by balancing it with some just non-mezcal tequila. And so that's what we have here today. So we're going to build this in our mixing glass, we're going to stir it, and then we're going to strain it over a single large cube. I am just going to grab I need a teaspoon measurer. Let's see if I can grab one right here. Where are you, teaspoon? Where are you? This is it, half a tablespoon. And there we go. All right. So my jiggers, I can get a quarter ounce. But a teaspoon is, I guess, a sixth of an ounce, right? So I just need a little bit less according to this recipe. So this is really the only thing that I use my teaspoon for. But anyway, I'm going to start with some, their recipe is Angostura bitters. I'm using Ryan Kelly's beard bitters, aromatic bitters. A little dash of that. And this is a fresh bottle. And you always have to be wary when you're dashing out the bitters. When it's a full bottle, they always come out a little bit less. The volume that you get in a dash changes as the amount in the bottle goes down. And so you'll notice like a dash, only they give a little amount, so I give it a couple of dashes. That'll be equivalent of one normal dash when it's like half full. That's kind of my standard. And I'm going to do a teaspoon of agave nectar. So interestingly, a lot of cocktail recipes, a lot of bars, we'll use an agave syrup, not the straight nectar. And that just makes it easier to work with, but it also, provides some complications in terms of dilution, because what the agave syrup is, it's like a 2-to-1 agave nectar to water solution. But you're introducing some water into the environment already, which we want to avoid. So this is just a teaspoon of, I've got a new bottle actually, just got from Amazon the other day, of agave in the raw agave nectar. And let's do 1 teaspoon of that, and that's the sweetener that we're gonna do. And again, this is the basic old fashioned, right? We have our bitters, we have our sweetener, and then we need our spirit. And instead of the rye that we would use and we used yesterday for our old fashioned, we're gonna be measuring out our tequilas. And so here I have this mezcal, which I think Zach is in the chat. I think that Zach might have brought this bottle of mezcal to my house. I'm not sure if it looks familiar to you, Zach. I could be wrong, but been slowly making my way through it. And I've had sort of like 2 bottles that I go back and forth on, but we're getting towards the end of this, so there we go. And so this is going to use a total of 2 ounces of the tequilas. But it's going to be 1.5 ounces of Reposado tequila here, and then 1/2 ounce of my mezcal. So let's measure that out. When I made my old fashioned yesterday, I used 2 ounces of spirit also. That was the Rittenhouse rye. So it's 1.5 ounces of the tequila, and then 1/2 ounce of our mezcal. This is a nice small batch mezcal. Good smokiness, good flavor. From Oaxaca, which is good because this is a Oaxacan Old Fashioned. All right. And there we go. That's all our ingredients. Nothing too fancy going on. And so I'm just going to grab some ice and we're going to do some stirring. To both chill and dilute. Here we go. I can smell that smokiness from here as I start. It smells really nice. So for me, this drink really represents the best of the cocktail renaissance and the revival of cocktail culture over the last 15 years. Because again, it is rooted in the classic old fashioned, but they do something totally new with it while keeping something really, really simple, right, and basic. And by just considering the ingredients and the balance creating something that is just like such a nice drink. So I'm going to. It's funny with I don't know if it's the humidity or what, but the ice cubes when I took them out of the freezer, they like frosted over really fast, which is very interesting. All right, so I'm just gonna strain this in. Doesn't have a ton of color, pretty pale. It's almost like a white wine color. It gets a little tiny bit of color from the bitters, maybe a tiny bit from the agave, and then you can see the mezcal is pretty clear, and the agave has just like a slight tinge to it, where it gets some of the color from, so that's interesting. Now, I get a little bit more practice with my flamed orange garnish, which is always exciting. So, got a new orange here. I'm gonna grab just like that. And I often get this confused. So I'm gonna heat the orange and then express it over the drink, over the flame. So, my match broke. All right, let's try another one. There we go. Move to my right hand. So, just heat it a little bit up, get those oils out. And then, ooh, see that one? Pretty good. And I'm just gonna drop that in. That'll give it some extra character and smokiness into that. And here we have Ryan Kelly's #2 cocktail of all time, the Oaxaca Old Fashioned. Cheers. You immediately get that like flamed orange nose on it, which is really nice. A little bit of the smokiness from the mezcal also. This is the best way to drink mezcal in my opinion. It just like I like rye by itself, but a rye old fashioned can't be beat. I think the same of this. It is really nice, has some really interesting character, has some smokiness, doesn't overpower you though. It's balanced out by the sweetness. You get a little bit of the seasoning from the bitters, which is nice. So this is very good. Looks like we've had Peggy Sampson with Erin joining the chat. Hello, Mom and Sis. Hope you guys are well. Helen's in the chat too. Haven't seen you in a while, Helen. Hope you're doing well. And Keith in the chat. Hello, Keith. Very nice. Very nice drink, an important drink in the cocktail renaissance's history of the last 15 years. And it's with good reason, because it is so nice, so balanced, so simple, and it's just a great version of the Old Fashioned that I love, the Oaxaca Old Fashioned.
It's 5 o'clock. Why not have a drink with me?
All right, I have the grill preheating, so I'm off to chop some peppers, onions, get some sausages going. Hope everyone has a great night. And we will see you back here tomorrow night for Ryan Kelly's Top 10 Cocktails #1 cocktail. What will it be? Who has been paying attention at home and can predict? Cheers.